Hi everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we're doing Algebra 1, solving multi-step equations. My name is Ryan, welcome to Math with RG. Thank you so much for checking out this video today. And please remember that when you're studying, you can do this one simple trick to bring down your anxiety, which is focus on the present moment, focus on the work instead of the, oh my gosh, I got this big test coming up. What if I don't pass? What if I don't get an A? What if I don't get a B? All that stuff. All you got to do is really focus on your work hard, prepare as much as possible, believe in yourself, have faith in yourself. Your anxiety will come down and the belief and faith in yourself will come up because you're not focusing on the outcome. You're just going to show up and do the best that you can do. All right, let's get into it. So we got number 26, solving multi-step equations. This is algebra. We got a balance. So I always say, you ask yourself this question: what is happening to the variable? We have 3t, which means 3 times t, plus 6. So there's a multiplication of times 3 to the variable, and then there's a plus 6 to the variable. So how are we going to solve this? We're going to do the opposite of what's happening. We're going to start with the plus 6. That's the thing that we do first. We got to work backwards from order of operations, basically. So if there's a plus 6, the opposite of plus is minus. So we have minus 6. And we have to do this on both sides of the equal sign. Okay? Has to be balanced. Both sides exactly the same. So if we have a minus 6 on the right side of the equal sign, then we will have a minus 6 on the left side of the equal sign. So here we go. Plus 6 minus 6, that's 0. We have negative 9 minus 6. So I always like to say when you're working with negative numbers is it's like money, right? Negative 9 means I owe someone $9, right? So I borrowed $9. Negative 6 means I borrowed $6. So if I borrowed $9 and I borrowed $6, how much money did I borrow? That's $15. And it's negative, right? Because I borrowed it. I'm in debt. Equals 3t. So again, what's happening to the variable? It's being multiplied by 3. How do we get rid of it? We do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So divide by 3. Divide by 3. Remember, we got to balance both sides. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Negative 15 divided by 3, well, a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So we get negative 5 equals t. Okay. That was our first multi-step equation. That's our answer. I always encourage you, if you want to bring your grades up, to check your work. How do I do that? By doing two things. I ask myself, does my answer make sense? And did I answer what they asked me to do? Well, they asked me to find t, right? Solving multi-step equations, you got to find the variable. So I found t. So yes, but does my answer make sense? Well, I'll check that real quick. We have negative 9 equals 3 times negative 5 plus 6. Negative 9 equals negative 15 plus 6. Negative 9 equals, well, negative $15, right? That means I borrowed $15. If I pay somebody back just the $6, that means I still owe them $9, which is negative 9. So it checks out. All right, we're moving on to number 28. Here we go. So what's happening to the variable? The variable is n as in Nancy. It's being divided by 4 and then subtracted by 7. So we're going to do the opposite of all those things and we're going to work backwards. So we're going to start with the negative 7. What's the opposite? Plus 7. On both sides. You all get it now, I think. Cancels out. We have n divided by 4 equals -2 plus 7. I owe somebody $2. I gain $7, so I can pay back the $2, which means I just have $5 left. All right, so then what's the opposite of division, right? We have n divided by 4. The opposite is times 4. So I'm gonna do times 4 there. 4 divided by 4, right? Because the other 4 is on the bottom. It's gonna cancel out to 1, and then a times 4 here. So we get n equals 20. Boom, that's my final answer. I box it up. I make sure that I'm very clear so you all can see it. If you're doing your homework or a test, I encourage you to do the same. Box it, circle it, star it, whatever you want to do. All right, so does my answer make sense? Well, what is 20 divided by 4? That's 5. What is 5 minus 7? Well, if I have $5 and I want to spend $7, then I'm going to be in debt $2, right? So -2. So it makes sense. It worked out. We're moving on to the next one. Here we go. Kind of rapid fire right now. So we have a 9 minus a, which is our variable, and then all of that divided by 2 equals a -18. Now here's the deal. Because 9 minus a, that whole thing, is all of that is divided by 2, we got to focus on that part first. I can't touch the 9 minus a until I get rid of the 2. So here we go. What's the opposite of dividing by 2? We multiply by 2. Put that in parentheses, times 2. So over here we have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it cancels out. All right, and then we have a 2 times -18. What is 2 times -18? Well, positive times a negative is going to be a negative, so we have -36. Another way that I like to look at this is I could do 2 times 10, that's 20, and then 2 times 8, that's 16. 20 and 16 is 36. All right, equals my 9 minus a. Okay, so, excuse me. On the right-hand side, I have a positive 9. And it is, and then minus a after that. I have to get rid of the positive 9. So I just have to do the opposite of that, which is -9. So -9, cancels out. I borrowed $36, right? -$36. Then I borrowed $9, so that's -$9. So that means that I borrowed $45. So -45 equals, now here's where you have to be careful. This is where I see some students make mistakes sometimes. On the right-hand side above, it still says -a, but sometimes they just write dA. But no, you got to bring down the whole thing, -a. Okay, so we need to find a, but I found -a. So I just still have to keep working. So I'm going to divide by -1 on both sides. Because -a really means -1 times a. So if I just divide by -1, then I'll find it. Cancels out. We get 45 equals a. Box it up. And if you do a quick check, 9 minus 45, that's -36. -36 divided by 2, that's your -18. So checks out. All right, everyone. All right, here we go to the next one. So we got 32. The opposite of +4. I'm sure you're all getting the hang of this now. Here we go, rapid fire. -4 on both sides. That cancels out. We have 0.2c equals 2. I got to divide by 0.2 because it's 0.2 times c, right? cancels out. C equals, well, what is 2 divided by 0.2? Well, the first way I'm going to look at this is I'm just going to say, well, what if it's just 2 divided by 2? That would just be 1. All right, so I put the 1 down. But, of course, the answer is not 1 because it doesn't say 2 divided by 2. It says 2 divided by 0.2. All right, so then I can say, all right, well, I have to move the decimal place 1 place over. So right now it's at 1.0. So I can move it over 1 place to 10. All right, so now I'm going to ask myself, okay, well, does that actually make sense? Well, hold on a second. Let's see. Let's think about money. I love thinking about money. If I have $2 and then I divide that by 0.2, which is really 20 cents, I can just ask myself, well, how many 20 cents pieces, right, could fit inside of $2? Well, how many 20-cent pieces can fit inside of $1? Well, I know that would be 5, right? So then if I have $2, I double that, I get 10. So that's how that makes sense. Now, the trick that I did was I pretended that it just said 2 divided by 2, and I know that's 1. But then, to get the 2 originally, right, it was 0.2, I just moved it 1 place to the right. So that means I have to move my answer 1 place to the right. So it's really not 1, it's 1 place to the right, so it's 1, 0, so it's 10. All right, we box it up. And then again, if you want to check your work, you could say, okay, 0.2 times 10. Well, anything times 10, you just move the decimal 1 place to the right. So 1 place to the right would be 2, and then 2 plus 4 is 6. So it checks out. All right, we're moving on. Let's grab a jazzy color here, maybe that. All right, so we got 34. 4 equals negative 3u minus negative 7. All of that divided by negative 8. Now, I highly encourage you that when you see a double sign, right? So do you see how it says the negative right here, but then there's also a negative right there? I highly encourage you to simplify that. So if a negative sign is next to a negative sign, it becomes a positive. So 4 equals negative 3u plus 7, all of that divided by negative 8. Okay, so now we're going to do the opposite. Well, the whole side is being divided by negative 8, so I got to multiply by negative 8 times negative 8 times negative 8. On the left side, we have negative 8 times 4. A negative times a positive is a negative, so negative 32 equals, we have a negative 8 divided by a negative 8. That cancels out to just 1. So it would be times 1, so nothing happens, right? So then we have negative 3u plus 7 is left over. Okay. So now here we go. We have the positive 7. We do the opposite of that. Boom, boom. We get negative 39 on the right side. Negative 32, right? I borrowed $32. Negative 7, I borrowed $7 on top of that. So I borrowed $39. That's negative 39. Equals negative 3u. So then I just do the opposite of that, which is divide by negative 3 on both sides. We get u equals negative 39 divided by negative 3. Right, so a negative divided by a negative is a positive. That's 13. Box it up. Okay, so we check our work. Negative 3 times 13, that's negative 39. Minus minus, which means plus. So negative 39 plus 7 is negative 32. Negative 32 divided by negative 8 is your positive 4. So it checks out. Okay, everybody, we're on the last problem. This is exciting. This is a word problem. I love word problems. I don't know if you do, but I do, and I'm going to help you make it easier. So this is called consecutive integers. And the question is, find 3 consecutive integers with the sum of negative 39. Okay, so first we got to underline the key words. So, consecutive, 3, and sum. Those are basically the key words here. So what does consecutive mean? It means in order, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, in order. Then it says integers, which is actually another key word. What is an integer? Well, an integer is all the negatives, 0, and all the positives, but it's no decimal and no fraction. Okay, so it says find 3 consecutive integers with the sum. What does sum mean? Well, sum means the answer to an addition problem. Okay, so we know that we're adding. We know that the whole thing is going to equal negative 39. But we have to create an equation. We don't know what each integer is. So when you don't know something, you want to label it as a variable. Now in this case, I'm just going to choose x. I love working with x. It's my favorite variable. So I'm going to start by writing x. Now, a consecutive integer means that they're in order. So if I start with x, the very next integer is just going to be x plus 1 because it's the very next number. For example, if x was 5, then the next number would just be 6. So I know that's 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay, so integer number 2, and I'm going to put it in parentheses just so you see it better, x plus 1. So whatever x is, the second integer is just going to be x plus 1. Because again, they're consecutive, they're in order. All right, so for my third integer, again, it has to be consecutive, right, based on the first integer. Well, the first integer, I don't know what it is, but I just called it x. So if the second number is x plus 1, then the third number is just going to be x plus 2. Okay. So check this out. I now have an equation. I have 3 integers. Integer number 1 is just x. Integer number 2 is x plus 1. And integer number 3 is, oh shoot, that was supposed to be x plus 2. Okay. See, I'm glad I was checking my work. We all make mistakes, okay? We're human, we make mistakes. That's okay. I don't have to judge myself now. I don't have to say you idiot or you suck or why'd you do that. It's just okay, we make mistakes. And that's why I encourage you all to check your work. And by check your work, I mean say it out loud, because when you say it out loud, your ears hear it, your eyes see it, your mouth is moving, creating that muscle memory. Your hand is writing it, creating more muscle memory. So you're activating all these senses. And guess what? If there is a mistake, your ears are going to hear it faster than your eyes will see it. If it's correct, your ears will hear it faster than your eyes will see it. Sometimes our mind or our eyes just play tricks on us. That's okay. That's why I read it over and over again. Okay, so again, we got integer number 1 is x, integer number 2 is x plus 1, and integer number 3 is x plus 2 because they're in consecutive order. And they're all based on x, which means I can solve it. It's just one variable. If I wrote x plus y plus z, and I only had one equation, then I wouldn't be able to solve it. So now I'm going to add like terms. Here we go. The parentheses don't matter anymore because I'm adding, so it's fine. So I have 3 x's. X plus x plus x, that's 3x. Then I have 1 plus 2. So that is 3 equals negative 39. Okay, so now here we go. We're right back to the multi-step equation. This is why they gave you this problem. Opposite on both sides, so I have a positive 3. I do negative 3 on both sides. That cancels out. 3x equals, I borrowed $39. That's negative 39. And then I borrowed $3. That's negative 3. So that means that I borrowed $42, negative 42. And then again, I'm going to do the opposite. 3x means 3 times x. The opposite of that is dividing by 3. Dividing by 3 cancels out. X equals negative 42 divided by 3. That is a negative divided by positive is a negative. Negative 14. Okay, so then I have to go back to the question. Right? I can't just say, oh, x equals 14, yay, and move on. I have to read the question again. And again, I always encourage you, go back, read the original question again. Make sure that your answer is actually answering it. They asked you to find 3 consecutive integers. So they didn't just want one of them, right? They didn't just want the first one or the second one or the third one. Sometimes they ask for a specific one. They wanted all 3. So the first integer is negative 14. Okay, so that is part of my answer. The second integer, right, x plus 1, is going to be negative 14 plus 1. So that's going to be negative 13. That's the second part of my answer. And the third one, x plus 2, is going to be the negative 14 plus 2. So that's going to equal negative 12. Okay, so now I need to really double check. Is negative 14 plus negative 13 plus negative 12 equal to negative 39? Well, let's triple check. So here we go. We got negative 14 plus a negative 13 plus a negative 12 equals a negative 39. Is that true? Well, it's really, if we have a plus negative, the negative wins out. Negative 14 minus 13 minus 12 equals negative 39. Okay, so here we go. 14 and 13. If I borrowed $14, then I borrowed $13. That means that I borrowed $27. Well, then on top of that, if I borrowed another $12, right? 14 plus 13 is 27 plus 12. That is $39. So yes, it checks out. We have done it.
Great job on finishing today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your friends and family. And if you want to dive deeper into chapter test work, you can check out my Skool platform, skool.com. The link will be in the bio below. And if you want more information on one-on-one tutoring, you can check out my website, rgtutors.com. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.